Alright guys, so here we are 2 weeks later. Our wort has finally finished fermenting, and basically what we're left with is some warm, flat beer. I can go ahead and call it beer because it does have alcohol in it, but this isn't really anything that you would want to drink right now because, like I said, it's very flat. Any carbon dioxide that was created has escaped already. So what we want to do now is, through the bottling process, is actually when your beer becomes carbonated, and I'm going to talk about that more in detail later on. But first, let me go over all the supplies that we need for bottling. First, we need your sanitizer, of course, don't need to explain that, and some obvious things, of course, beer bottles. Now, a 5-gallon batch of beer makes about 50 to 55 cases of beer. It actually depends on, how much you lost during, different processes. But basically, get about 2 cases or 50 bottles of beer. And aside from beer bottles, of course, you need beer caps. Sure, these things right here. And also a beer capper, which is this, which is basically, we're going to put the caps on the bottles, and this is what crimps it. Now, if you bought a kit, then you probably have some type of a beer capper in your kit already. Now, you also could use a bottling tray. Now, this is actually really handy, and all this is basically whenever we're done sanitizing our bottles, we can go ahead and set them on there like that, and it makes things a whole lot easier. Now, another thing you're going to need is priming sugar. Now, I'll talk about why we need sugar later on, but basically, if you bought a kit, it's going to come with some priming sugar. If you bought all of the ingredients from scratch, then what you can do is you can actually use plain white table sugar. It's going to work fine. And you also need 16 ounces of water. So if you have a water bottle, it works perfectly. This is 16.9 ounces, so close enough. Now, aside from that, of course, we need our beer. That's obvious. And you can also use a siphon. Now, some people actually don't have one of these siphons because they didn't get a kit, and they actually siphon it by mouth like you're stealing gas from a car or something, but I never did that. But basically, it's really handy if you get one of these siphons that you don't have to suck on because, of course, your mouth can contaminate it, especially if, it's been in some dirty places. So aside from that, we need our bottling bucket. Now make sure that we have the spigot, or spigot, however you say it, and also the tube. Now, whenever we sanitize everything, it's very important to make sure we sanitize these as well. And the last thing that we need is this. This is a bottle filler. And let me see if I can get my camera to focus on. Alright, so basically what's going to happen is we're going to hook this end up to the tube, or our bucket, and whenever we press down on the bottle, a valve right here is going to open, and it's going to allow beer to flow in the bottles. Then when we release it, it closes. And the cool thing about this is, if you can do it right, it puts the perfect amount of beer in your bottle. So again, get a bottle filler, and then once you have all those supplies, you're good to go. We're ready to start bottling the beer.